Me and my wife, we actually live below the poverty line. Now, for an individual, if you make less than $14,500 or you live below that, you're living below the poverty line. For a couple, if you live on less than $19,700 a year, you are below the poverty line. Now, how much do we actually spend every single year? The answer is a whopping $14,400. That is exactly how much we're actually spending. So in reality, we are way below the poverty line, okay? In reality. However though, guys, my life is not stressful. I'm not feeling like I don't get to have what I actually want. And I've learned a lot from living below the poverty line for the past like almost 3 years. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly how we were actually able to do it. And I'm gonna tell you exactly the big benefits of actually doing this, okay? Now, the very first thing, guys, is do me a favor and smash the like button, and let's get right into it. I want to establish this first because I can see these comments flooding in. Where do you live, Tommy? I live in Dominican Republic, in a small town. Now, before you say that's the only reason you're able to live off this way, the answer is no, it's not true. I lived below $1,000 by myself living in Puerto Rico. I also lived that way living in New York. This is not a location thing, it is a lifestyle thing. You have to choose the type of lifestyle you actually want to have. I used to get comments saying, Tommy, you can only live that way because you're single. Now I'm married. I'm still living this way, okay? And then it'll be, well, wait until you have kids. I hear that too. Well, I'll make a video when I have kids. I made a video about this when I was not married. I'm making a video now when I am married. Now, here's the main two things that we basically don't have that allow us to live below the poverty line. The only way you can actually do this, and by the way, why is this so important? It's very simple. The less money you need to live, the less money you need to make. The less money you need to make, the less time you need to spend working. Imagine this, okay? If you are working a job and earning $40,000 a year and you only need $10,000 a year to actually live, that means you can work so much less and basically still be living a pretty good life. But in order to make this happen, there are sacrifices that you need to make. And the first one that we actually made was this, okay? I love cars. For some reason. Don't know why, I'm just a boy, all right? So in reality, the car I would love to have right now is a Toyota Tacoma. Turns out I don't want to spend $40,000 on a vehicle. Turns out I don't want to have to pay $800 every single month. Turns out even further, I don't want to be able to have to work $800 worth of my time to pay for a car. So what car do we drive here as a family? The answer is we drive a used Toyota Corolla 2017 that my wife paid cash for, and when she married me, she came with the car, all right? You're probably saying, well, you only got that because your wife got it. The answer is before that, I was driving a Toyota Prius 2009, and I paid cash for that car by myself. I paid $9,000. The point is, when you don't have to worry about a car payment, it makes a massive difference. There are a lot of people out there that are paying $700 a month, $500 a month for a vehicle. How can you expect to live on less if your car, a vehicle to get from point A to point Z, is it point B? Yeah, point B, sorry about that. To get from point A to point B, you're spending so much money on. It's ridiculous. To me, it's almost like saying, I spend $500 a month. For what? For a toaster. It toasts bread. Car, A, B, same thing. Find a car you feel safe in, that's reliable, and that you can pay cash for. And that could be a Toyota Corolla from the year 2000 or 2005 or 2007. You could pay $5 grand for a safe car and be pretty happy. But as long as you have the mentality that, well, what are people gonna say about me? Oh my gosh, this car is so ugly. Oh my gosh, this car is so old. It has no backup camera. You can just install that for like $80 or like $120, okay? Maybe 200 bucks. It has no Apple CarPlay. Just get a little dongle and put your phone on it. Boom, now you got portable Apple CarPlay. It comes with you. The point is, you don't make excuses for yourself when it comes to these things. Just find a good, reliable car. Now, the second thing we don't get involved in that saves us a ton of money is going to be debt. We don't have any debt whatsoever. I read somewhere that the average American spends about $1,583 per month on debt. I mean, imagine that. That is so much money. I mean, at least to me it is, okay? When I think about numbers like that, I'm thinking, well, can you imagine that? Imagine if I had to pay $1,500 every single month on debt. And imagine if all I got paid was basically $20 an hour. That's literally, if I'm not mistaken here, let me put it here, 75 hours of my time I have to spend to be able to pay that debt. That's a whole like work week plus some more. So not having that, that's time I don't have to spend at work, okay? And by the way, you might say, Tommy, maybe you had an easy start. Maybe you never had debt before. And by the way, for the people that don't have any debt, the answer is don't get in debt to get out of debt. That's not what you want to do. I had debt before. I had credit card debt, about $13,000 worth. I had business loans, about $28,000 worth. I had student loan debt, about $21,000 worth. I had a lot of debt all over the place in different places. And by the way, I had an 811 credit score. People would probably say, you are doing great, aren't you? You're financially savvy, aren't you? But the truth is, I was in crazy debt. And you know what happened? I chose, again, a lifestyle choice. I just don't want to play this debt game anymore. I don't want to be in debt anymore. And that basically saved me all those monthly payments. And although you might say, well, Tommy, when you pay things off, wouldn't it be better if you invested it and then that money made you money? The answer is you could leverage things out, but leverage is like a double-edged sword. If things don't work well, you still owe money and you got to pay that. When you don't owe any money, if things don't go well, you don't owe any money. All right. So for me, that makes a lot more sense for me personally and for my family overall. Now, the third thing, guys, is we live in a normal neighborhood. And by the way, this right here is Dominican Republic, but I've always had this mentality. When I went to Puerto Rico, I was living in Villa Carolina. Now I say it because I no longer live there. I don't like saying where I live because it's dangerous, obviously. But yeah, Villa Carolina. And that was a normal neighborhood. In New York, I lived in the Bronx. Here, I live in a normal neighborhood. You know why? Normal neighborhoods are also safe. They're clean, they're taken care of, you have community, you have nice people, you have everything you need. And for the most part, what do you need? You need community, safety, and good people around you. I mean, that's basically it. But when you want to live, for example, where the people that make a lot of money live, you're going to pay a lot of money in rent, or you're going to pay a lot of money when it comes to a mortgage. And I don't want to do any of those things because when I think about an expensive home, I know some people say, well, Tommy, I want to live in a nice area, because I want to take my kids to school. It's like a better school zone and all this nonsense. The truth is, I'm not going to care about that when you're talking about spending an extra $100,000 or $200,000. I think your child's education, the biggest proponent is going to be you, and you having to be at work a lot longer doesn't really help. Or homeschooling could also be a possibility, and that could also save you a ton of money, a ton of time, and you can spend time with your children overall and kind of just like raise them the right way that you actually want to raise your kids. Okay, so that's the way I kind of see things and think about things. So when I lived in Puerto Rico, I had no mortgage because I bought a home and I basically paid it off. That was the end of it. Here, I pay $152 for a 2-bedroom apartment, kitchen, living room, little balcony, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but my rent is probably gonna go up to around $288. Not because I found out, oh my gosh, she's not paying any rent. No, that's not it. It's because we're thinking about moving. And hopefully, if we do end up moving, it'll be to a nicer place. It'll be a lot more comfortable. It'll be a little bit more money. But again, it's going to be well within budget and well below the poverty line overall. And this means that every single month when I'm paying rent, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, like half my check is gone. I just feel like, no, I'm just paying a service for renting as long as we actually need it. And I don't feel like it's such a big chunk of my budget overall. If I lived in Puerto Rico, I'll be spending like $700 a month. If I lived in the US, I'll be spending like around $1,000 to $1,500 a month. And there are ways, I have a friend, he pays no money when it comes to renting because he has people live with him and he covers all the costs basically. by those people living with him. Okay, so there are ways to save money. People that buy tiny homes, people that live in trailers, people that do a lot of different things. And the answer is, as long as you're doing those things for an end goal, the answer is, I think it's pretty cool. But I don't like the idea of living in a tiny home. I don't like the idea of living in a trailer. But that's just me personally. Now, the last thing that we actually do to kind of stay living this way and to be happy is to know exactly what we need. And what we need is shelter, utilities, groceries, transportation. And make sure we understand those costs and make sure those costs are taken care of. And the second thing we actually care about is to know what we want. And what we want is to be able to buy something that we actually need throughout the month or whatever. Like if I want to buy something on Amazon, or my wife wants to buy a shampoo or a kit. You know, like women are always buying like these hair things for some reason. But if I want to buy some camera gear, or for example, if we want to go on vacation, so things like that we know we actually want to do, well, what we do is we make that a part of our budget. So we might save, I save $200 every single month. So by the end of the year, we have enough money to go on that vacation that we actually want to go on. Let's set aside $100 for our dates because we want to spend time together and we want to go to different places, not just be at home, right? And like eat out, so we're not always cooking at home and all this other stuff, right? So having everything that we need and we want as part of our budget and having a name for it makes a big difference. And lastly, staying vigilant is so important because the minute you stop being vigilant, the minute you stop, for example, worrying, the minute you stop basically tracking things, that's the minute you're bound to fail. I've done that. And when I do that, I spend more money. Okay, so it's very important. You write things down and you know what you want, what you need, because if you don't, you're constantly being pushed things on the phone, on the screens, basically telling you buy this and buy that. Okay, so you want to be very careful with that. But guys, that is it for this video. This is TommyBryson in 2024, still living below the poverty line as a married man, and maybe hopefully soon we'll have a baby, and then I'll be making this video along with the baby and showing you guys exactly that it's not because of where I live, it's not because of some other thing, but it is a lifestyle choice. It's all planning and choices. And by the way, one big benefit to living this way is that it saved me decades and decades and decades of work. Having to live, for example, somewhere else, this is just me personally, you know, buying a house would have cost me a little bit more money. You know, instead of like, for example, like $200,000, maybe like $300,000. And that would have been an extra $100,000 worth more of time and having more monthly expenses and having less freedom and so on. So making choices like that is super important to know, like long term, you know, like if I do this long term, I'm going to get this benefit. It's always just thinking about, you know, delayed gratification. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace. Subscribe to the channel, by the way.